a fourth grader, a 10-year-old, who just wants to go to the bathroom, and their identity is they are male or female, and they just go in that bathroom and use it.
The Democratic nominee for vice president is, by definition, a radical extremist. Here's Tim Walz in 2017 talking about whether or not 10-year-olds can pick their gender and therefore decide which bathroom to use. Watch this folksy, midwestern, middle America values extremist Tim Walz, and we'll discuss intermittently. Check it out.
Again, is one of those that gets politically charged, and I would ask all of us, and I try and do this for my own sanity, and I try and do it because I think it's the right thing to do, putting ourselves literally in the other people's shoes and wondering why they're doing what they're going to do. And when I think through this, when I say this as a teacher, there's about 150,000 of our children identified in our schools, in our public schools, trans students, and
hold on. First things first, let's stop it right there. According to recent public data, there's about 867,000 students enrolled in public schools in Minnesota. That includes students in kindergarten through the 12th grade across all of the state's school districts. So 150,000 of those 867,000 kids are transgender. That's a really, really high percentage. Specifically, about 17% of Minnesota kids apparently identify as transgender. First of all, in 2017, there's no way that number is accurate at all. And if it is, we have a much bigger problem on our hand. But at the end of the day, you have to look at stuff like this as a person trying to push bogus, phony numbers on people to make you think, no, you're the crazy person, because look at all of these wonderful children who definitely know what is best for them, identifying as what they identify as. And if you disagree, you're a bad person. Get out of here. 17% of kids identify as transgender. Whoa, let's continue.
As a teacher, my number one responsibility in the classroom was the safety, security, and belongingness of every single child in that classroom. And if this
I feel like that sounds good, but you got to remember there are limits and parameters. Yes, do you want the most kids to feel welcome in schools? Yes, 100%. One could even say all. But there are limits, by the way, so to say that as a blanket statement is irresponsible and just factually inaccurate unless you're trying to pander to a bunch of numbskulls in the audience. This is where he gets to the gender.
For those who have concern, and I will not minimize people's concerns who are concerned that this is going to make an unsafe situation, whatever, I ask you that in many cases, these are children my son's age, a fourth grader, a 10-year-old, who just wants to go to the bathroom, and their identity is they are male or female, and they just go in that bathroom and use it.
Okay, so he says it actually right there. My son's age, a fourth grader or a 10-year-old. First of all, how does this guy have kids this young? I mean, great. I'm all about parenting and kids and all that sort of stuff, but he looks like he's old enough to be my grandfather, and he has a fourth grader? That's interesting. Now, granted, this was about 7 years ago, but still, he doesn't look like a spring chicken nowadays. He looks, in this particular video, rather old. But let's not gloss over the biggest problem is that he actually said and actually believes, well, in a lot of cases, in these 150,000 students who identify as transgender, many of them are 10-year-olds, fourth graders, and they just want to use the bathroom. Apparently minimizing the fact that, holy crap, apparently a lot of 10-year-olds and fourth graders actually think this outside of the whether or not it's right, which again, it's not. But outside of that, isn't that high of a percentage concerning for anything? Isn't it concerning at really any level that 17% of students across the spectrum of kindergarten to 12th grade have what the DSM still considers a mental disorder? Isn't that a concern? Let alone the fact that people think they can alter biology, which you cannot, and use whatever bathroom that they want to because they are themselves and they are the embodiment of what it means to feel welcoming. I would say this, again, it doesn't need to be repeated, but it just is the obvious case. It is the opposite of helpful to affirm somebody's quote-unquote gender of that which they are not. You're going to do more damage than you will good. And on top of that, the idea that Tim Walz is this folksy midwestern values, middle America, he's a normal guy, is just patently false. Find me a random group of Midwesterners and let me ask what they think about this particular issue and how Tim Walz couches it, and let's see what they say. I guarantee you this is not going to be what the Midwestern people of this country are going to think.